Piece number 6. The struggle. Grandfather believed that only your efforts can achieve success. He always told me that one must come to terms with his or her own potentiality and see it through to its proper conclusion. You cannot cheat yourself out of what you should be or could do. Do you remember when you were extremely young and you wanted to accomplish a mission or project? Perhaps you overestimated your potential. I once attempted to cross a web of dangerous pipes. In my little community, there was an oil storage facility which sat on a large rocky promontory overlooking our town. A series of metallic shafts ran away from these enormous fuel-holding tanks, cascading down a distance of almost a kilometer to the shore. The line consisted of 4 metal tubes held together by a series of iron straps. To ease the tension on the channel, there was a slight space between each of the cylinders. As children, we had been warned not to scamper on these ducts. Of course, at 6 years of age, no one listens. Once, during the winter time, when the conduit glistened with water after a heavy rainfall, I slipped and tumbled between these channels. Unfortunately, my head was just too large to fall all the way through, and I couldn't get back up. Young boys are full of energy. My friends had forgotten me and had apparently continued on their adventure. I was thus suspended in space. I was alone. I attempted to pull myself up, all to no avail. Exhausted, I slowly began to strangle. I was rather miraculously saved by one of the workers of the energy company who lifted me to safety. My brush with death, however, didn't deter my intrepid spirit. Such is the naive bravery of youth. Later, my younger brothers and I developed an even more ambitious plan. It was decided to build a tree castle. Now this detailed construction is a much more serious undertaking. Firstly, an abundance of trees is necessary. This problem was resolved by a large forest not far from our home. It had been logged during World War II to construct a military air base. The area had never been replanted, thus quick-growing red alders covered the area. At the time, these trees were considered of very little commercial value and were often simply cut down or their young samplings poisoned so that they would therefore die. A startling revelation in a society that prides itself on beauty and nature. This particular region, however, probably because it was close to our small community, was unscathed. We burrowed into the center of these towering, deciduous trees. Timber, the evocative call of all Paul Bunyan-like loggers, was soon heard. We cleared a small strip and began to work. The trees that had been felled were cut into sections and then stripped of their bark. These logs were stacked for future building. It was as if the ingredients of a gigantic cake had been collected, only awaiting its final baking and attendant delicious result. We were afraid to begin. At last, Mark, one of my brothers, scurried up the largest and tallest evergreen. He assembled a crude block and tackle, and we began hoisting the initial floor into the air. Planks covered the boles, rough walls were assembled, and finally a roof, which never did quite seal properly, was put in place. We stood in awe in a small assembly at the base of our creation, arms embracing shoulders. It was finished. I am certainly not a builder of physical edifices, but I am, in a humble way, a builder of ideas. At this moment I realize that all was possible as long as I accept that I do have attributes that are innate. For example, in the present context, I am a man, I am white, I am over 65 years old, I am Canadian, etc. Achievement, any achievement, however, cannot be accomplished without a struggle. Success in any form will not be handed to you by the cosmos devoid of an effort. I believe that we must look for models to pattern our life on, to assist us in our decision-making process. Additionally, all greatness in life need not be of a material nature. Matthew Ricard is a Buddhist monk who makes his residence in Nepal. His life began very differently. He was born in France into a family of intellectuals. His father was the philosopher, author, and writer Jean-François Revel, and his mother the lyrical abstractionist Yann Le Toumelin. He received a PhD in molecular genetics from the famed Pasteur Institute in Paris. He then did the extraordinary. He forsook his worldly career to focus on his studies and practice of Tibetan Buddhism. He eventually became a devotee of the great Buddhist master Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. Today, he is a translator to the Dalai Lama and a world-renowned writer and photographer. He has a thought. By happiness, I mean here a deep sense of flourishing that arises from an exceptionally healthy mind. This is not a mere pleasurable feeling, a fleeting emotion, or a mood, but an optimal state of being. Happiness is also a way of interpreting the world, since while it may be difficult to change the world, it is always possible to change the way we look at it